guys, today I'm going to propagate a Sansevieria leaf by taking leaf cuttings. So I'm going to do the first part today, and then I'm going to tomorrow morning plant them up when the cuts are a little dried out. I'm competing with a lot of bird noise, so I hope you like the sound of bird calls. But let's get started. This is really easy. I found this on the floor of Home Depot when I was getting a light bulb, and I found my Amic Euphorbia, or I should say Euphorbia Amic. But I saw this on the floor and I thought, well, I know that you can cut these and do some leaf cuttings to propagate them. And I've done it before. The only disclaimer is the ones that have the margins are usually hybrids. So when you do this, you're gonna go back, it will revert, the babies that sprout will revert to one of the more basic Sansevieria, which sort of look just like the middle, but they're beautiful. They're dark green and they have this almost snake-like pattern on it. But that's just fine with me, and I've done it before. It's very easy. You do have to wait a very long time in order for them to sprout. So honestly, getting new Sansevierias from your own plants, maybe it's better to do divisions because you get immediate gratification. But if you're patient and you just can put this aside somewhere, this is a good way to do it too. So basically what you do is you cut it into a few pieces, just go straight across. Now I'm not sure how this ripped edge will do, but I'll just stick it in and see how it goes. I'm using clean scissors, and then I'm just gonna make about 4 cuts, I think, just like that. And I hope I'm leaving enough at the tip here to make a plant. But here's the important part. You want to leave it here to dry. I'm going to dip these in rooting hormone, but you always have to leave it, pretty much reassemble it in the order that you cut it, because it's very important that you're putting the bottom of your cutting into the soil, because if you put the wrong end in, it's not going to grow. At least I don't think so. So I always keep mine in order so that when I come back to actually do the project, I'm going to be sticking in the correct end. Okay, so I'm going to dip these in rooting hormone. That will hurry them along. And I'll just leave them to dry, not in the sun, but in a shadier location. And I'm just really, the roots will come out of the end of that, so I'm just really getting a generous amount on the end there. That also helps keep fungus from getting on there. Just dipping all the ends that are going into the soil in the hormone, just like that. Try not to get it on your hands. I didn't remember to bring gloves, but it's really not something you're supposed to come into contact with or breathe in, so just use caution when you're using any rooting hormones. Like I said, I'm not sure if this ripped bottom will root, but we'll give it a try. It'll be an experiment. And I'm gonna plant these up tomorrow. I'm just gonna use a little cocoa coir, and I'll show you that as I do it. But I'm gonna use cocoa coir and a little Osmocote, which is a slow release fertilizer. Because cocoa coir in itself doesn't actually have any nutrients, I don't think. So this mix won't have any composted material in it, but it's really good for starting seeds. And so that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to wait till tomorrow and I'll show you how to plant those up. Okay, good morning. We're ready to pot these cuttings up. These have dried out overnight. You just want to give the plant a chance to have the edge heal over a bit, close up, and then I left it in order here so we could plant the right edge facing down. And I discovered at Home Depot this really wonderful seed starting mix, and it's a coco coir sold as a brick, and you just put the brick in a tub, something like this. It's just a hard pressed brick of coco coir, and then you add 4.5 quarts of water, and the brick just absorbs it up and becomes this really loose, beautiful mix. So this is something that I have not seen before at Home Depot, and I was really excited, and they sold it as a seed starter. And I have purchased this at pet stores before, but it's a coarser mix. It's meant to go in reptile cages and things like that. But this one is a much finer mix, and the reason you want to use a light mix or like a seed starting mix is because you don't want the roots to have competition with growing. You want it to just be able to easily move through the soil. So that's why I'm choosing this. This isn't actually as dry as I'd like it to be, but the days around here, I'm going to just fill this pot up. The days this week have been really in the upper 80s and 90s. This morning's cool because we had a huge hailstorm last night and thunderstorm. But I think we're going to be okay with putting a little bit of a moist soil in, because it's going to just dry right out in the heat. If this were indoors, I'd probably wait a little longer for my mixture to dry. But as I mentioned before, the seed starting mix in itself is just coco coir, so it really doesn't have a lot of nutrients in there at all. So I'm going to just mix in some Osmocote Plus, and these are slow release fertilizing pellets here, just a little bit. We don't even need that much, because once these plants take root, then you can fertilize later on. But just because it's devoid of any nutrients, I'm just adding a little bit into the top there, so that when it does make roots, it'll go ahead and start feeding the plant. So here's the bottom of my cut, and I think I need a little bit more. Let me put a little bit more in here. There we go. And I'm just going to slide that into place, just a little bit down. Doesn't even have to be too far down. And I will just put them, I'm just going to line them up. Now this looks a little crowded, but usually with cuttings like this, you're going to lose some. Let me move it back so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm not going to put it in a big pot. Plus you want these pots to dry out too. So I'm just placing it in like that, pressing it around so it makes contact with the bottom of the cutting. Oh, and I did that one upside down. Good thing I'm paying attention now. There we go. And this one's upside down too. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me just pop that in correctly. Now everything is in there correctly. And guys, I'll have to update you in about 6 months. I'll see you then with regards to this plant, because this takes a very long time. What will happen is the cuttings will put roots out, and then a small pup will be produced from that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see which ones survive, and hopefully I will get a new plant. This was one I found on this leaf was a cutting I found on the floor of Home Depot, and I just asked the guy if I could take the leaf just as I was checking out, and he could care less. So if it works out, I'll be getting a free plant. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will update you, but please be patient. We'll have to wait a few months on this guy, and unless they look dead, and then I'll just let you know how it worked out. But I will probably not water this for about a week. Let it dry out just to make sure those cuts you know, really heal over. And then I'll be giving it water since it's hot in summertime, and I'm going to have this outside. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.